in October, Blackstone Valley Art Association was doing a theme of sketching. And so this is how we're going to approach painting Miss Mendon Diner, is more with a sketch, or I'm calling it a cartoon. When I work with ink, just freehand like that, I tell myself I'm doing a little cartoon, and it's like people will keep journals, and you've probably seen the different sizes of paper and things. These you can turn into postcards. You can send all your experimentation out to somebody. But anyway, today we're gonna do a cartoon version. As you see, a lot of times I work really realistically, and then we will also work on a couple of different papers. I think that a lot of people, when they say, oh, I work in watercolor, half the time they'll also say, oh boy, you know, that I tried that, it's not for me. It just goes, I can't control it. And that's probably why a lot of people give up a lot quicker with watercolor. Is it's if you really like to control everything and you don't like unexpected surprises, watercolor might not be your medium, but you should try it, because there's so many different things that you can do with it. You can make those colors explode. You can control them. You have this translucency that you build up those layers, and that's how you get the depth into something like this. I don't know that I can bring these over. Or you can turn. And so this is how you build up the depth. It's all in layers. And watercolorists, traditionally, the white is your paper. And there is no opaque white on this painting. So where you see any of the light, that is the paper. So with other mediums, you don't have that same translucency. And so give yourself a little bit more time with the watercolors, and just keep playing with them. You don't have to have a big fancy set. You don't have to have 1,000 colors. You can easily, I bet half of you probably still have an old paint set that even you used it with your kids. Pull that out of the closet. There's no reason you can't use it, because all of these colors, they're dry right now. All I have to do is add a little water, and they will start to soften back up. I'm constantly, I use Winsor Newton watercolors for the most part, but I'm starting to try some of the other companies. Daniel Smith, I've heard a lot of good things of, and I've tried a few of their paints, but I could go on and on about all that. We're gonna try to reel my spiel in and try to stay focused, because I just get wound up. I want you to all learn all these fun things. So if you have that old tray of paints at home, all you have to do is drop a couple drops of water into that, and it's going to soften back up, and you can put your brush in there and get going. Also, that's a good use of your old eye drops. So I was saying, you don't have to spend a lot of money on materials, especially, to me, I think it's good to keep within your budget. When some people go out and they buy the top of the line and they've never even tried it before, they might not really like it when they get home, and then they just have something expensive sitting on the shelf. What I like to do is I like to try what I find online. This little set, and they're the iridescent colors, and they show up really nicely on blacks. But this whole little set was under $10, probably from Jerry's or it could have been one of the local not gift stores, but the local hobby stores. So you always kind of keep your eye open for different things. Now these are the pre-filled trays that you've seen many times. You can also buy blank palettes that you filled and load yourself. Now, when I do this, I do tend to write down the names because I have various vendors in here. And sometimes I'm looking to see, test a new color. Here I had Blick's Ultramarine Blue, and I was trying that. And this one is the, yeah, that's also interesting. These two colors have the same name. It's Verditer. Verditer. I don't know if there's a T in there. Verditer Blue. Anyway, but see how much blue and purple that is compared to this one. This one, this has much more coolness to it because it's in the blues, and it's leaning toward. It has a little bit of a red to it. And then this one has a little bit more of a green. So it's interesting to me, and that's why you need to. I'm going to come back because I'm going into a different level here. We'll talk about paints some other day. Anyway, you can fill up your own trays. I have my old workhorse trays like this that has a lot of basic colors. You don't see a lot of those bright, shining colors that they do have. They have a lot of synthetic colors, and there's a lot of brightness that you can come with. This tray also, Creative Mark, there's a lot of good value with the Jerry products. This tray, as you can see, it kind of reads like the rainbow. That's how I will put my my colors in a palette if I'm starting like this. I have so many colors that I don't quite know offhand what are they. So you will see that I'll be trying different yellows in different trays, because the minute you start committing to one tray, you kind of just fill it up. So this one actually has a lot of the unique colors. I have a lot of quinacridons on here. I have some of these now. This lavender has a little bit of white in there, and so I'm having to get used to working with opaque watercolors, and also I avoid them in certain paintings. Anyway, just the whole palettes that will come once you're really excited about doing more watercolor. And when you do get those little tubes of watercolor, I just received these samples, and this is from Golden and QOR Watercolor. That is Golden's brand of watercolor. Now, when I first get a new set or anything like this, I do swatches, because that way I can tell the difference between, this is the new QOR Ultramarine Blue, and then this is the Dick Blick, the French Ultramarine, which has got a lot of power to it. The Holbein has a lot of granulation, so when you begin sampling different companies, you might find that your paint feels a little bit different, or it's reacting a little bit different. That's why it's important to swatch it out so you can actually see what is it, what does it do. Another fun thing about watercolor is that, I mean, I could always still come back in here and get that paint moving again. There's no reason that, like when you're working on a something, there's nothing to keep you from coming in here and just adding another layer. If you've ever seen a dot card, that's what they're doing. They're putting little splotches of that paint on for you. And so you can buy these dot cards, and you can sample all the different colors that the company might carry. There again, that's when you're really starting to invest a little bit more money. Okay, one thing I did I received the sample of the 3, which is the blue, the quinacridone magenta, and then the yellow they sent is nickel azo yellow. So a lot of people get these tubes and they're not quite sure, well, what am I supposed to do? Do I squeeze the whole thing out? Do I, well, you feel free to just put it in your tray. You don't have to invest a lot of money in trays either. These I've seen pretty much at any craft store. I think they usually sell them in a set of 2. So you can see they're quite well used. I, a lot of times, will pull out colors. For instance, here, these were 10 different blues. I had tubes and I wanted to see, well, what are my colors going to do? So sometimes I'll assign myself a tray of this and say, okay, now paint this, and this is all you're going to use. And then you start to get to know the colors and the variances. As I said in the swatches, for me, it makes a big difference, because this is this is also called an ultramarine blue, and when you put it next to that, so that's why it's kind of important to know who's carrying what color, what is their tendencies, because this one, as you can see, it has much more yellow to it, so it's a greener, and this one is just got such vibrancy, and that one's leaning more toward that red, that purpley. And that's something as you learn to paint and as you go on with your art journey, your eye will start to really be able to discern that. And it makes it easier even if you do lay the 2 next to you, because then you've got, oh, okay, if it's leaning toward the blue and the red, that's considered cool compared to the warm. So this one, I would consider this a warm blue, and this one is a cool blue. So, and I would use them basically together to add even more interest. And these are little things you can do.